Denver, Live, California, Colorado, Boston. This is very cool. Spokane. Virginia. Awesome. I'm from the Atlanta, Georgia area. I'm currently in Orlando. Doing some working on some other business that I have here, and Praveen is in Australia, Melbourne. So he's here with us today. He's if you aren't already a bunt trader trading with us, and you plan to be, Praveen's our IT guy. He's our go-to guy for support. He handles all of our website stuff. He handles all of our indicator installations for our VIPs. He's our on our support desk. He's also a very good trader. Been trading with us for 8 years. So he can answer all of your questions. So here's what we're going to do. We have an agenda for today. I'll go over that in a minute. But as I go through some of this information, you may have questions, and I won't stop to answer them. But Praveen and a number of our bunt traders are here to help out and answer your questions if you have them. If it's something specifically for me, you can wait until later. We're going to have a all-inclusive type of a training session, meaning it's all-inclusive in that if, as long as you have questions, if it's something that I haven't covered or that you don't understand, we will stay here until you understand. So you can keep asking questions and making sure that you understand how these trade setups work. This one in particular that we're going to show you today. I'm going to go over a little bit of information first before we do that, because a lot of people weren't able to be here on Thursday. So I'm going to quickly go over some of that. There will also be some new stuff, but I won't be reading the chat. Okay. So if you ask me a question and I just totally ignore you, that's because I don't even see the question. I'm going to cover it up. If Praveen or somebody else can answer the question for you, great. The first answer to your questions is yes, this is being recorded. And yes, since you're here and you registered, you will get a copy of the recording. If you're watching this on video and you didn't register, but you get it on video, simply send us an email and we'll send you a recording. Send it to bunt@theintentionaltrader.com. If you look on the slide, you'll see down here on the bottom of every slide is our email address, and then also our current specials. So if you want to go and check out our current specials, I encourage you to do that. Okay? So I'm going to cover the chat now, so I don't see it and get distracted. That's really the reason why I cover the chat, is because I tend to want to answer everybody's questions right away, and I get distracted, and everything goes kind of south from there. So for those of you that don't know me, I don't think there's many people that don't know me because I've been around for so long in trading now. I kind of came in the same way many of you did. I saw trading. I was exposed to it, and I became very interested in it because it looked like an easy way for me to do, to make a living. And I didn't really have a good, clear understanding of all the nuances of trading. And so I thought, 6 months, I'm going to be making a living at trading, and then I don't have to deal with all the struggles of running my own, construction business. So that 6 months turned into 7 years, and then I was about ready to quit, and then something kind of interesting happened. We can talk about that in another venue. And since then, I've been trading full time for over 9 years. Became a trading educator, and in order to do that, I developed a system and some indicators. We used to develop for NinjaTrader and MultiCharts also, but those platforms are so inferior to NinjaTrader, we stopped developing for those, and we're only developing on NinjaTrader now. All right, so we have an agenda for today. We talked about on Thursday a simple trade, okay, and mastering a simple trade, and we're going to talk about that more today, and we're going to go into more detail. Part one, we're going to go over pretty quickly. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're going to talk about it pretty quickly because some of it is going to be a repeat we did on Thursday, some of it's new, and I'm going to go through it for about the first 25 minutes or so. Then we're going to get down to how we do it. I'm going to actually show you some scenarios that I can set up on this little workspace, kind of chalkboard looking thing, and we'll go through whatever scenarios you need me to help you understand that we're doing. When would be a good time to take a trade? When would not be a good time to take a trade? Exactly where we would take a trade, why we would take a trade there. How could you take the trade being more aggressive, or how could you take the trade being more conservative? We're going to go over all that stuff, okay? All right, and then okay, so we're gonna start out. We talked on Thursday about trend trading and how difficult trend trading can be, and sometimes you jump into a trend trade, and very oftentimes this is kind of what you have to go through to try to manage to get to your target, and oftentimes this is just an emotional roller coaster. So what I decided, since I failed so miserably for so many years at this emotional roller coaster, I decided, I'm no good at this. I need to find something where I can get in and out of trades more quickly, where I don't have to try to manage my emotions as much or at all because I just wasn't able to do it. So I decided I'd start looking for something that maybe smaller profits, but higher probability of being able to just win a trade. That's what my thinking was. Rather than trying to win a trade and make a lot of money, let's just try to win some trades. And that kind of started the whole thing that I'm doing now. Many traders are still trading the old way. They're still, measuring volume the same old way. They're still measuring order flow the same old way. And it's really time to understand the realities of the modern markets we trade. The modern markets are manipulated by these big supercomputers, and they know that we're all trying to trade the conventional wisdoms of trading, right? You ride a trend from bottom to top, and you get out right at the top, and that's the hopes, right? Conventional wisdom is the trend is your friend, but nobody ever really tells you it's nearly impossible for a single lot or small lot trader to ride that trend because of the emotions that we have. Unfortunately, we're all human, and we have a really hard time with this emotional roller coaster that we get on when we're trying to ride this trend out or take these long trades over a long period of time, and try to generate a consistent profit. So if statistically you're not going to ever overcome your emotions, I'm going to suggest you stop trying to. That's what I decided to do when I just decided I'm no good at it. I can't stop having emotions when it comes to trading. It's just killing me. So I kind of decided I'm not going to, I'm not going to try to manage my emotions. And I'm also not going to try to outsmart the big boys, okay? The guys that are manipulating the markets. We can't count on these big moves anymore in the markets for these long trend trades. Not us little guys. We can't count on them because the market manipulators control the market. And they're manipulating the markets for a specific reason. And we'll talk about that later. So I decided, I'm going to take this in a different route. Step one, I'm going to start small and develop consistency. So find something in the markets that I can identify, and I can do it. It may be just a very quick thing that happens, but I can consistently do it over and over and over again. So my mission was to identify that. Step two was not to change from that. Stay small and be consistent. Okay? Don't look for knocking it out of the park every time you take a trade. Instead, look for a way to end the day as a winning trader as often as you can, and then build on that. So kind of a paradigm shift, right? It's a totally fundamental change in the approach that I had towards trading. I never learned, nobody ever taught me through all of my years of struggling and looking about this type of approach. And I always, well, if I'm going to ever make the kind of money I need to make to replace my income from my construction business, it's going to take X dollars a month to do that. And my first mission is, I'm inexperienced. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not having a lot of success, but by golly, I'm going to start by trying to make $10,000 a month. And that's my goal, $10,000 a month. Well, that was an unrealistic goal for me. First thing I needed to do is learn how to be consistent. Find something I could do over and over and over again, and I could do it so consistently I don't even have to think about it. It's kind of like, you just have this unconscious competence. So instead of these big winning trades, I just started looking for these small daily trades, these little chunks that I could add to my trading account. So I started looking at a trading chart and I started thinking, okay, where would be a place where I could find this thing that happens consistently? Maybe I'm not going to get rich off of each trade, but where are these places where I could find something specific happened? And if I can just read what's going on, what happened in the markets just before these specific events, then I might have something. And that's where I started looking on a chart like this. You'll see that at some point on this chart, or points on the chart, price just stopped and turned and changed directions. So that looked kind of compelling to me. And so my question is, why did price stop and change directions? What was happening in the market at that point when price stopped and changed directions? So I started studying that, and with that study, I was able to develop a set of indicators to identify the pullbacks. And we like to trade pullbacks because they're very predictable, which is what you need in trading to have an edge. They have very precise entry management. Now, because we trade very quickly, we're looking for very small little chunks of positive movement in our direction. People will categorize us. People want to try to put us into the box of being called a scalper. We don't trade the way real scalpers trade. We have very specific rules with very precise entries and trade management. That's a little different than being a scalper. Just going for a few ticks per trade is not, that's what scalpers do, but that doesn't make you a scalper. So I personally don't consider what we do scalping. However, if it makes it easier for you to understand, fine. We don't really look for any very difficult chart patterns to decipher. We've got the trade rules that we design around our trades that are yes or no. You either, and I'm going to show you this in a little bit. Either yes, these conditions exist, no, these conditions don't exist. And that's it. That's how easy it is to enter a trade. The nice thing about these pullbacks is they're mostly ignored by retail traders. Okay? So that gives us all the opportunity. And then we also have a smaller drawdown potential. This is big, limited market exposure. You know, with the HFTs, the big boys, those big supercomputers I showed you, these guys have the ability to set us up to take our money whenever they feel like it, and they do it over and over and over again. The longer you're in a trade, the more exposed your money is. The more exposed your money is, the more likely it is that somebody that's smarter than you and or has more power than you is going to take money from you. All right? Somebody who knows more about the markets and what's going to happen in the markets because they're creating what's happening in the markets. Okay? So it's the whole idea of getting out of the markets as quickly as possible makes these trades much less speculative than trying to ride a trend from bottom to top, okay? Which much less stressful. And it's very easy to quantify the information that when you have a confluence of indicators, that when they all come together, they all suggest the same thing that is likely to happen next. Okay, we'll talk. We're gonna continue. I'm gonna continue to build on this. So, what is a bunt pullback trade? Okay, showed you guys this on Thursday. A lot of you didn't get a chance to see it on Thursday, so here it is again. So we have this price. You know, we have this trend here that's dropping. Then we have a sudden hard drop. Let me take the next step. We have this sudden hard drop here. A couple of bars suddenly drop. We hit a major line of support. We have a condition where we're reading order. The order flow is coming in so fast, and the orders are being processed through the markets at a rate that is highly unlikely that retail traders are be able to trade and get their orders that fast. So what does that tell us? That tells us that the market manipulators, those big supercomputers, are doing the work right here. If they're manipulating the markets, then you got to ask yourself, why would they do that? Well, they're doing that to create a reaction to the manipulation. All right? So that's what that little white arrow is. All of that information is inside that little white arrow. Okay? Then we use some volume spread analysis so that we do read volume, but only the right kind of volume. We're looking at a divergence indicator that tells us that even though price is moving in one direction, momentum has changed direction. So price and momentum aren't moving together, which is most normal, which is most common. When they are moving together, then there is a condition of divergence. When they diverge, price will almost always try to catch up with momentum. All right? So we have a strong momentum, meaning price has dropped hard and fast. We have a lot of velocity, meaning price is changing a whole bunch inside the bar. And we have a strong potential of exhaustion, which means we're either oversold or overbought. All right, so this we call our rock star trade setup, when all of these conditions come together. Now you look at this and you go, well, yeah, well, this is a nice picture. What's the likelihood of that? It happens all the time. So we took the confluence of these conditions and we made it real easy. We made just a single indicator when we get a particular confluence of conditions that you want to use to consider whether you want to take a trade or not. Inside this Rockstar indicator are, let's see, 1, 2, 3 different indicators. One of the indicators has 7 different thresholds inside of it. One of the indicators has 3 different thresholds inside of it. All right, and then we have our overbought, oversold indicator. So there's a lot of ways to adjust these indicators to trade so that you can trade within your risk tolerance levels. Say you want to trade a lot. All you have to do is just tune these the indicators to generate lots of signals. Say you want to trade just a few times a day. You tune the indicator so that it generates just a few signals a day. Okay? And we can show you how to do that at another time. It's all dependent on your tolerance levels. Okay? So we're looking for simplicity. I brought this up the other day. I noticed this on the chart, this chart on here. And this could have been last week, or it could have been back in 2012. Looking at this right here. We haven't changed what we do in all those years. If you learn how to do what we're doing now, you're not going to have to keep learning more and new and different stuff. See this? We've been doing this for so long that most of us that have been doing this for more than a few months, we've become so unconsciously competent at this that we just see it. It just happens. You put on your trade, you're in, you're out, you're done, and you wait for the next one. Okay? So the only thing that we do now that might be different than what I was doing back then is we add the Rockstar. We remove the other indicators and we add the Rockstar to make it just easier to see. You don't really need the Rockstar. I've been doing it this way for many, many years. But the Rockstar helps a lot of people, particularly people that are learning, where these confluences of events take place. And the trade setup is at the open of that bar. And I'll show you that when we get to that part of what we're doing. So that's our new Rockstar indicator. Now, for those of you that are like, oh, indicators scare me. They're too confusing. There's just too much. I might do the wrong thing. What do you see here? You get in the car and you drive it every day. What do you see here? You see all kinds of indicators to help you make decisions to be driving safely. Okay? So that's all we do, is we add indicators to help you make good decisions. All right? Now, this is where I usually show a video of different trade setups, but we're going to actually go through those later. If you want to see some videos of some other events that we've done to explain some of this more, send Connor an email or go to our YouTube page, and you'll see this link right here. You can copy that down and or just go do a search on YouTube for The Intentional Trader. This particular channel here is our Trade of the Day videos. Watch a few dozen of those, and you'll see that we do the same thing over and over and over again. You don't have to understand everything that's going on in the markets. Basically, for operating a car, some people need to know what makes a car work, how an internal combustion engine works, how rack and pinion steering, why is that important, how a transmission is is geared, and how all that stuff works. And then some people go, well, a car, because I put gasoline in it and I have a key. Okay? So we have information for both of you, and it's all on YouTube. Today we're talking more about gasoline and key stuff, okay? You don't need to know how all this stuff works necessarily to make it work for you, to get from point A to point B. So we're going to talk about some basics of indicators. A lot of us have lost sight of what indicators are and what they're for, and can even get kind of intimidated by them. But let's talk about indicators. What's an indicator? An indicator is nothing more than a set of tools or a tool to make your job easier to do, more efficient to do, but not do the job for you. It wasn't 10 minutes after we sent out first video on the Rockstar indicator that we didn't get somebody sending us a message on support saying, well, what about all these false positives? And I asked, what do you mean by false positive? Well, there was a Rockstar popped up, but the trade didn't immediately turn around like the indicator said it would. The indicator doesn't say that price is going to do anything. The indicator says that there is a confluence of conditions that exist, that when these confluence of conditions exist, it is very likely price is going to do something. So it's a tool to help you make a trade decision. It doesn't do anything for you. You've got to remember that as a trader. You must remember indicators do for you. If you're going to be a trader, you need to be involved in what you're doing and let an indicator tell you what to do. Okay, so now that you know an indicator is a tool, what do we do with indicators? Well, we put them on charts, right? And many of you may have charts that look something similar to this. So we take indicators and we put them on a trading chart to help us understand what's going on in the market. Okay? So let's take another step back. So what's a trading chart? Here's something that most people, you might know it, but you might lose sight of it over time. A trading chart, it's not the market, okay? A trading chart is simply a graphical representation of what people or institutions are thinking or feeling about the price of something at any particular point in time. And it's a way to track price over time. That's all it is. It's very simple. It's a graphical representations of thoughts, feelings, and emotions. That's it. That's all the chart is. Don't give a chart more power than it deserves. Okay? So the best indicators are going to be the ones that are the easiest to read and understand. Right? So they help us to measure and decipher information that people and institutions are putting into the market about how they feel about the current price, which helps us to, gets us alert to what they're feeling so that we can predict what's likely to happen next. They do not tell you what to do next. It helps us read our competition's next move, okay? If we can anticipate that correctly, then we have an edge. So I showed you this image on Thursday. This is my favorite image. I use it in almost all webinars. It's my favorite image because this is what we do in trading. This is what we do. This indicator of danger is causing these people to react. Now, what's the indicator of danger? The bat flying at them. So do you think anybody right now is thinking about, bills they have to pay, or family obligations, or whatever else people think about throughout the day? Or are they simply thinking, oh my gosh, I need to protect myself? Now, they're all doing something. They're all protecting themselves, right? So this indicator of danger has caused these people to do something specific, and I can anticipate what they're going to do next based on their reaction to this indicator. So this indicator is the bat's flying at them. Their reaction is their hands are going to go up, and I can anticipate their reaction, what's going to happen after that. Their hands are going to go down, and they're all going to giggle. As long as nobody got seriously hurt, they're all going to have this nervous giggle, and they're going to look around at each other and go, wow, we really dodged a bullet there, didn't we? Phew. Okay, that's what's going to happen. This is an indicator of danger that's causing people to react. We can anticipate what these people's next move is going to be based on their reactions to this indicator. It's the same thing. It's just a different picture. But we're doing the exact same thing. All right, so what's the framework of a bunt pullback trade? This is our rock star. We used to call it our lowest hanging fruit trade, but this is our rock star trade. First thing we want to see is strong momentum. Then we want to see some increased velocity, some strong potential for exhaustion. We want to see some areas of support and resistance. We want to see some divergence, which is a change in momentum. And then all we need is a trigger. Okay? So strong momentum. What do I mean by strong momentum? If you saw a chart that looked like this, would this be characterized as strong momentum? Probably not. You want to see something that looks like this, where you have a real strong move over several bars, and you're setting lower lows and lower highs, or vice versa. Okay? So we can characterize this as strong momentum. If you remember that I showed you that I studied to try to figure out why price was stopping and turning, you'll notice on almost all points where it turned, we had some strong momentum. Okay? Increased velocity. We want to see a lot of movement inside of a bar. A lot of price changing inside of a bar. You'll see where the buyers and sellers are very active inside of a bar. So we want to see some strong velocity. We want to see an increased potential of exhaustion. So if you put on an RSI or some sort of momentum indicator, this particular one is an RSI, you put it at the bottom of the chart, you'll notice that the oscillator kind of channels between the extreme high and low. And nothing is saying that price is either overbought or oversold. So we really couldn't characterize this as exhaustion setting in. What we want to see is the extremes being exceeded. So here we have an oversold condition. So if we're oversold, then there's a real strong chance that exhaustion has begun to set in. So we're looking for areas of support and resistance. Obviously, here we don't have them. Here we have an area of support. We have a major line of support. And this is an excellent place for price to stop and turn because it's exhausted. All of these other conditions exist, cannot push through this level of support necessarily. Okay? So we're looking at combining all of these other conditions and a major line of support. All right? It's kind of like running a marathon, and then at the end they put up a 12-foot wall in front of you, and you got to somehow climb up over that 12-foot wall. If you might figure out a way to get up and over that wall. After running a marathon as fast as you could, probably don't have the energy to get over that wall. All right? Divergence. When price and momentum are no longer in agreement with each other, that's divergence. Well, here's a way that we measure that. This is how we measure divergence. You'll see that, the momentum is setting lower highs and lower lows, same as price. So that's typically how price is going to run, right? So we don't have any divergent conditions here. This is what we're looking for. The reason that a lot of people don't use divergence is because it can be deceiving and hard to see until somebody points it out to you. This is a divergent condition. This is one of my favorite trading tools because it almost always happens that when price and momentum get out of agreement with each other, price will try to catch up with momentum. So here's just quickly, you'll see how price is setting a higher high and momentum is setting a lower high. This is where the condition, where we have this divergent condition that we measured. And look what happens. Price will suddenly try to catch up with this momentum. All right, that's a very important part of what we do. So yes, we have a divergent condition here, and then we're looking at a trigger. Okay, our triggers for the Rockstar trade, the one that we're going to master, is this little speed tick right here. And the speed tick is telling us that that bar is very likely being manipulated by the boys, that the orders coming through are very likely way too fast for us retail traders, because the big boys have their big supercomputers inside the trading exchanges, and they have capabilities that we'll never have. So that's what we're looking for. If the orders are being processed at a rate way faster than we can do, that means something's probably about to happen, because they don't do it for just no reason at all. They do it to make us do stupid stuff. So that's our trick. Now, you notice that our indicators are very simple. Went to a lot of trouble to make it so you don't have a whole chart full of indicators just to try to make a simple trading decision. So we're constantly trying to tune out the superfluous information and put the information that you need to make a decision right in front of you, okay? And get rid of all the other stuff. And we call it our heads-up display indicators, kind of inspired by the fighter jets, that if they're in a dogfight or whatever, they only need that certain information in front of them while they're looking at their target, okay? And that's the information that they need to make life-saving decisions, okay? So kind of took our whole indicator development down the same lines. So you'll see the chart on the right and the charts on the left are the exact same thing. Same chart, same information, same indicator. We just removed all the superfluous information on the one on the left so that it's much easier to make very precise trade decisions. Yes, no. So what makes more sense? These long trend trades where you have to manage your emotions, or these quick and numerous pullback trades? All right. So we have a special offer, and so this is part one. I'm done with part one. Now I'm going to start talking about the how-to, okay? But before I do that, I want you guys to all understand that we have a special going on. We started on Thursday with the special where we had the first 10 buyers. Now we had 3 people take advantage of 20% off. So now we have 7. So the next 7, we have a 20% discount on all bundles. You can go to the website here. Praveen, can you put that that link in the chat that people could click on that? Oops. Praveen, wake up. Maybe somebody can put it in there. Anyway, you can go to that and you can see the all of the bundles and what's included, and then down at the bottom it'll show you what your savings are, And we got 7 more slots available, and then that'll be it for the special. Okay, now, thank you. Before I go on to the next thing, any questions I need to answer about what I've just discussed? Anything? Anybody? I'd like to just move on, but if I don't want to, this is the part where I want to make sure I don't leave you in the dust. I don't want anybody going, I don't know what this guy's talking about. Everybody good? We're ready to move on? All right. Let me, I'm going to stop sharing for just a second here. I'm going to turn my screen off and put it on a different screen. I think. All right, everybody see that? Okay, so I gave you all the framework of this trade that we're talking about, this mastering a simple trade. Went through the framework with you very quickly. So I have this scenario here set up. By the way, this is a little paint package, a little draw package that I use. So I can create scenarios like this. If you look at this and you say, oh, well, that color of that bar is wrong, I'm going to kick you out of here. Okay. These are just bars that I just put on there. I have the ability to, drag bars and create scenarios. And this is what we use for all of our training. And so I thought I'd share it with you guys. But one of the rules is don't hold my feet to the fire about what color a bar is, because I may just grab something that may have the wrong bar color on it. But you should be able to understand my point. Okay? All right. So after what I just said, how would you characterize where we're at here? If I put this right here, what have I got? Anybody? I'm now reading the chat, by the way. Yep, I have a rock star indicator. Do I have a trade set up? What's missing? Anybody remember step number 1? Momentum. Next bar is true, Mike, but to be honest, if I don't have momentum, I don't care what the next bar does, right? I don't care what happens on the open of the next bar because I have no impending sense of exhaustion, okay? I have no reason to believe, if for those of you that were here Thursday or watched the video on Thursday, tell me, I will. Carlos, it's not, under the current conditions, it's not, but I will show you how it would be, okay? So those of you that were here on Thursday and watched the video, if we knew that there were market manipulators in the market at the time, how would we characterize a market that looks like this? as it relates to market manipulators. Anybody that was here on Thursday or watched the video? Correct, Dwayne. And when we have areas of accumulation, for those of you that don't know what accumulation is, the big boys are going to go in and they're going to try to corner the market. And when they say corner the market, they're going to buy up all available assets to the degree where they have more assets than anybody else. And they now have the ability to control the market because they own most of the available assets. So they do this on relatively low volume because they don't want us to know what's going on. They do it very quietly, okay? They want to buy as many assets they can at a very low price. Now, they don't want price to stay low. Once they've bought all the assets that they can get and they now control the markets, what do they want price to do? They want price to go up. Well, how do you make price go up? You manipulate the markets. You create an issue of supply and demand. So if suddenly all buying and selling stopped, nothing was happening because the market makers were no longer selling, what's that going to do to price? Anybody? If the people that own something refuse to sell it, what happens to price? And this is, I'm talking in anything, right? Exactly. So if they're going to refuse to sell, the longer they refuse to sell, the faster price is going to go up. All right? So price starts to go up. And now we may start looking at a scenario like this. Okay, so price is now going up because of what we learned on Thursday. Let's see if I can find another. So now what's happening? So we had this area of potential accumulation. Now what's happening? They're clamping down on it, and it's creating orders going through so fast. Exactly. We're seeing a strong push. We're seeing a strong momentum or up thrust. Okay? We're seeing an up thrust, which is going to generate a whole bunch of orders. All right? Now, it's not just everybody else. The market makers will jump in and also, even though they're the major holders, they want to create more and more and more volatility. Eventually, Carlios, eventually, not all at once. These guys are way too smart, or their computers are. Exactly, Dwayne. But here's what happens. You can't do it all at once. It's a series. It's a process. If you go back to that first, or one of the first slides, and you saw where I picked out many, many different areas where price stopped and turned. These guys know that if we expect a particular pattern, that we're going to pick up that very simple pattern, and we're going to know every time they're in areas of accumulation and distribution. So they mix it up. They make it hard for us mortals to see. All right. So they mix it up, but if you look carefully, you'll see it, and that if you know what to look for. So what we're looking for here after an area of accumulation or distribution, either one. I mean, they do the same thing. To us, it looks the same, and we don't always know which one it is. And to us, it really doesn't matter because this is what we're looking for. This is when we know, okay, something's happening. It's time for us to start paying attention. Now, I have some momentum, and I have an indicator that tells me that it's highly likely that we're being manipulated. So, on the open of the next bar, let me do this. Let's see, I'll put this over here. Oops. Let's say that's the open. I know it's the wrong color. Here, I'll change it. All right, so at the open of the next bar, we get a rock star. Now, I'm not even going to ask you because this is exactly what I was talking about when I said, depending on your risk tolerance levels, you can be more or less aggressive. There are traders in our trade room that will take this trade every time. So remember I said we have to have momentum, we have to have divergence, an overbought condition, all of that. Well, that's all telling us inside the rock star, that's giving us all of that information. So at the open of this bar, a lot of our traders are going to sell. Here's what I do a little bit differently. Okay? I would not sell this. My risk tolerance levels, which is I'm somewhat conservative. And this is something for you to decide in your trading. Notice that price never got to this line of resistance. Okay, it ran up, opened here, we got a rock star. Ordinarily, I put on a sell order right here. Ordinarily. Mike, send us an email to get you a pass to the. We have a trial, a 1-week trial. So send us an email at bunt@theintentionaltrader.com and sign up for a 1-week trial, and we'll send you everything you need. So ordinarily, there are a number of traders that are going to trade this, but here's where I'm a little bit different. So you see this line of resistance? These are really good lines, by the way. These are our lines of support and resistance that we use that are based off of floor trader pivots. Same lines everybody else. Oh yeah, if you're a VIP, then just go log into the members area and go to the trade room. If you don't have your members area login, send an email and we'll send that to you. Yeah, it's inside the members area. That is correct. 1-minute chart. All right. So I don't trade this because of this line of resistance not having been hit. I need, personally, I'm looking for confirmation that rather than just looking at a line on a chart that's been there all day, that hasn't moved, that hasn't adjusted with the markets, this when the day started at midnight, this line printed right here. So rather than making an assumption that the market's going to respect this line, I'm going to wait until price shows me that the market is respecting that line. So for me to take this trade, I want to see price come up and hit inside this zone. We have a 2-tick zone on each side. Well, I don't know what that means. How are you judging price action? It's a pretty broad term, price action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for price to convince me that this line is providing resistance. Yes, Mike, it can. What I'm working on now okay, I'm back. Can you hear me now? Okay, so the template is going to be able to be used in NinjaTrader Strategy Wizard. But remember I told you, you heard the template, right? That I'm working on a template for the Rockstar to be used in NinjaTrader Strategy template. Strategy Wizard. So I was talking to the programmers, and just 30 minutes before we started here, and they're going to build me a template. Now, here's the thing about Thinkorswim, Carlos. If you want to trade on Thinkorswim, you can, and then just use our stuff on NinjaTrader's charting, which is free. You don't have to buy NinjaTrader to use our indicators on NinjaTrader. It's free. So you can chart with NinjaTrader for free and then place your trades on Thinkorswim. We have a lot of traders that do that. They trade on TradeStation, Thinkorswim, many other platforms, and they just use the free version of NinjaTrader. 8. Yeah, the Rockstar. Now, we still have a lot of indicators for NinjaTrader 7, but everything we're developing from this point forward is for 8 only. And the Rockstar is new, so it's only in 8. We still have all of the other indicators for making the same trades in NinjaTrader 7. It's just that like I showed you earlier, it takes several indicators to make the decision, and instead we just added them all to one Rockstar. I mean, to me personally, I could trade either way because I've been doing it so long. I'm very comfortable either way. All right, so and the thing that I do not trade Forex, but we have a lot of Forex traders. Praveen used to trade Forex. I trade only futures. So the trade for me now this is a trade setup for me. This bar opened under this resistance. I have confirmed that this resistance has value by watching price run up, slam into this line, and pause and stall, and maybe test the other side. It might test the other side during the life of this bar, but it always, if it's got to pull back and open below, meaning that line has proven to me that it has some resistance to it. It's not just a line printed on the chart. It's proven there's some resistance there. I have my speed tick and the Rockstar. To be honest, once you get good at this, you don't even need the speed tick because it's inside the Rockstar. Your trade will be right there. Now, I like to leave my OBOS on the chart, my overbought, oversold, even though we have the Rockstar, because it's easier to help anticipate. I think this is supposed to be pink, but use your imagination. It's easier to anticipate when you're likely to have a good setup if you leave the obos on the chart. So this is for us discretionary traders that like to trade manually, which is me and always will be, to help identify when weakness is setting in, so that when we get a rock star on the open of the next bar, you know that there's weakness. Now you can also set this in inside the rock star, but this helps me get ready for the trade. All right, when I see it, weakness on this bar, I go ahead and I move my mouse over to the to my trading dome. I use trading domes, not chart trader. Much more efficient on trading domes. And then when I have this bar or this print on the open of the next bar, I'm ready to go with my trade. Nice thing is sometimes it opens here and then backs up a little bit, and so you can actually get a better feel. Now, all of this being said, this is where I would trade. There are traders that prefer to wait until the open of the next bar, just because they want to be a little bit more conservative. All right, so maybe this bar didn't really do much. Maybe it kind of went sideways for a little while. You know, just kind of popped up a little. And nothing really happened, but they keep seeing that this line is providing some resistance. The next bar opens. So to be a little bit more conservative, you can wait for the open of the next bar to make your trade decision. Okay? All right, let me go back to some of these questions. Use AI, artificial intelligence, to trade for us better and profitable. AI, artificial intelligence? Is that what you mean, Mike? No, it's not better. No. You know what? It's interesting that people, I mean, maybe some people find it better. The interesting thing about those is that they work until they don't. Oh, Milby, you and I have had this conversation many times. You don't remember me telling you that the trading dome is much more efficient than chart dome by the way you can place and manage trades? I can place a trade and manage that trade and multiple trades in a fraction of the time that I could do it on the chart dome. Yeah, so once you start using the dome, the trading dome, and you get good at it and you practice, you'll find that you can be much more efficient and move much more quickly, and it takes up less space on your monitors. There's so many reasons. That's why they came up with with trading domes. They're more efficient for managing your trades much more quickly. So Carlos, the entry for this trade is at the open of, right here. At the open of this bar, I would put on a sell order. Or if I want to be a little bit more conservative, I wait for the open of this bar and I put on my sell order. Well, it's only going to give you better entries if you can move more quickly. Milby, the whole thing is you're standing in line, right? When you're putting on a trade, you're basically putting your trade in the queue or in line. So if you can get your trade in that queue faster and more efficiently, then yes, you're going to get better entries. Larry, no, I was just telling somebody that I don't have this automated, but that being said, we're going to provide our VIPs with a template that they can use in NinjaTrader's Strategy Wizard to get started on developing your own automated trading with it. Yeah, Al, I always use 1 minute charts because this is 1 minute charts give us the best information about what's about to happen next, right? I want to know what's about that. I want the best information I can possibly get about what's about to happen right now. If I get information right now about something that's going to happen 10 minutes from now, 15 minutes from now, an hour from now, the further away from right now, the more speculative the information. And again, I'm going to go back to the fact that there are market makers in the market now that manipulate the markets so often and at such random times that it's very difficult to be trading on a larger time frame. I'm trying to get my little piece of a trade every time. If I'm in a trade more than 3 minutes, I feel like I've been in it for an eternity. So I want to get in and out of the trade as quickly as possible, put my money in the bank, and sit and relax and know that my money is safe. Trading on a larger time frame is more speculative. So VIPs, back to that. VIPs, I just was talking to the programmer 30 minutes before we started here today, and I'm having him build a template for everybody to use. Yes, HFT, high frequency trader. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The quants, you know, the guys that run the hedge funds, the guys with all the money. By being able to move and manage your orders, placing orders, stop limit orders, combining orders, it's much more efficient. Again, it comes with practice, though. You probably won't feel like it is. The nice thing, ChartTrader is designed to make it very visual for you. But it is not as easy to move trades and to manage trades with ChartTrader as with the Trading Dome. And again, that's why they have a Trading Dome. Now, I've gotten into a lot of discussions with people that say, oh no, I'm really fast with the ChartTrader. Fine. I also have had discussions where people said, you know, I used to think I was really fast with ChartTrader until I changed to the Dome and I practiced on that, and I see how much faster the Trading Dome is. Any bunt traders here that started out with ChartTrader and switched over to a Dome? Anybody here that has done that? A lot of our traders have, because I use a Dome and I teach people based on my trading on a Dome, and I haven't used ChartTrader in so long. ChartTrader is fine if you're trading, swing trading or something like that. Yes, static Dome only. Because you can't use the dynamic Dome, Al. The dynamic Dome drive you crazy, for one. And number two, and this came up in the trade room the other day. Somebody said that they were using the dynamic Dome to trade futures, and I said, well, I don't think you can. And so he said, yeah, I'm doing it now. So I tried it on my computer, and it won't let me. A little pop-up window says you cannot use the dynamic Dome for trading futures. But I have the static Dome enabled. So apparently, if you have the static Dome enabled in NinjaTrader, which you have to ask your broker for, the dynamic Dome will not work for futures. You're forced to pay the 10 cents for the static Dome, which hopefully in the next few months you'll be hearing something from me on that. we may have a workaround for you on that. Okay, as far as this trade setup goes, what if I had that actually should be something that looks like that. I have 6 domes, Milby, set up on my trading computer. I don't project my trading computer to the trade room. I'm actively trading, and I don't want any interference of the projector or all the other charts, all the other stuff that's going on the trade room charts. I'm looking at those charts, but my trading domes are laid out exactly the same pattern as the charts, and I have one for each instrument. Cindy, you can trade on Thinkorswim. All of these indicators, though, are intended for NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader is free. So you can do your charting with NinjaTrader and you're trading on your Thinkorswim. So charting on NinjaTrader is free. You just need data. And data is pretty inexpensive. Now, here's a trade setup that's going to depend on your own personal risk tolerance levels. Why? Anybody? And again, just because we have a rock star, is that a trade setup? Well, that's my point, Gerald. Some people just have their account there. I don't recommend it. But, a lot of people don't want to switch. So over time, we have a lot of people that do switch. But initially, it's kind of a scary thing to switch from one platform that you've been using for a long time to something else. So we just tell people, look, stay with whatever you're comfortable with, just chart with NinjaTrader. But to be honest, I would go to NinjaTrader. Thinkorswim is really ideal for options, and NinjaTrader was designed mostly for futures, and now they're going heavy into or pushing hard into the forex market. Frank, that's a good question, and it's really simple for me. Think about what it is that we're trying to do, and then that answer to that question becomes more obvious. What I'm trying to do, if you remember, is inside of every trend is a series of pullbacks, right? NinjaTrader, I think, what, anybody here just recently opened an account with NinjaTrader? What's the minimum, their charges are very competitive. I'm not sure how much their minimum is for to open an account, Cindy. $1,000, okay. So, Frank, we have a trend, right? We have a trend headed in one particular direction. What's the one thing that we can count on a trend? I'm not sure if I can set this up fast enough. Actually, I'm not even going to waste my time because it's going to take too long to set that up. What's the one thing that's pretty consistent inside of a trend? Every trend has a series of retracements or pullbacks. So I don't care if the price is going up, up, up like this. Price never moves like this, does it? Price always moves like this. Right? Everybody agree with that? Everybody see my mouse? Price always moves like that. Maybe I can draw a line. Price moves like this. So that's a nice looking trend, isn't it? So the assumption is that every trend is going to continue like this. For NinjaTrader, I don't have it, but you can Google it. Or send us an email, Cindy. Send an email to Bunt. Here, see that right there? Bunt at theintentionaltrader.com, and we can get all that for you. All right, so see this nice looking trend here. Wouldn't you love to be in that kind of a trend? Here's the thing about this, Frank. Because every trend has these pullbacks that we're looking to take advantage of, I'm only looking for this little piece right here. That's my, hold on. This is my sweet spot. I'm only looking to take advantage of that little pullback. So I'm not looking to make big money on each move. So what I'm looking for is a hard target. Over time, I have determined that it's very likely I'm going to get at least 5 ticks. When I get outside of 5 ticks, it starts getting a little bit more speculative. Okay, you can certainly, it's your decision. You want to go for 7, 8, 10, 12 ticks, you will win many trades. But you'll also struggle more trying to go for more ticks. So this took me many years to finally figure out, you know what, if I could just consistently learn to win 5 ticks, stop the trade, put the money in the bank, and convince myself that I don't care if it goes another 50 ticks in my direction. I got my piece of that trade. We start with a 7 tick stop. So I say we start with. If the conditions that got me into the trade change, I'm going to start moving my stop. So here's an example of that. So let's say I got a rock star right here. Whoops, how did that happen? So I got a rock star right here, right? And I shorted it. but it doesn't drop, or at least not right away. Now the next bar closes or opens above this resistance. Now, the conditions that got me into this trade changed, right? I got into this trade because I had resistance behind my trade. This bar is now up here. It's opened up here. I mean, it's closed up here above this line. Well, those weren't the conditions that got me into the trade. They've changed, and I would have never gotten in this trade under these conditions. This is when I'm going to start to manage my stop. Okay? I'm going to manage my stop. So I might have started with a 7-tick stop, but I might actually only take a 3, 4, 5-tick stop when I actually get stopped out, if I get stopped out. And I always manage with my stop so that in the event that it goes back in my favor, I'm in good shape. I don't just bail out. I never just bail out of a trade, just mark it out, but I'm scared. I always manage it with my stop. And again, Milby, that's what goes to much easier management for things like that on the Dome than on ChartTrader. Ken, there's no way to not leave cash on the table. I'd rather leave cash in the bank than try to scrape all the cash off the table. I put cash in the bank, only a little bit, but I'm comfortably and easily relaxed and feeling very low stress, just waiting for the next little pullback, right? Because it's going to happen. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is going to happen. Beyond what's going to happen here, I have no idea. Now, here's something that you can certainly do, and many of our traders have. And that is, okay, I believe in the bunt trading, I believe in the pullback, but I need more ticks. I want to put on a runner or a trailing stop. Absolutely. You can set up an ATM very easily to put on runners and trailing stops to try to squeeze out those extra ticks before price turns and continues on its way. Remember, we expect that the trend is going to continue. We don't know, but just like everybody else, we expect it to. So why try to second guess what's going to happen here? Yeah, they will. Personally, I don't like range or wrinkle bars. I don't believe in them, but a lot of people like to use them because they make pretty charts. Cat, like I said, you can certainly use these on higher time frames and go for more ticks. That would totally be up to you. I'm looking for higher probability trade setups. And I want to be out of the markets as much as possible. Yeah, they work, but again, I don't, anything that doesn't have time. I haven't used a Heiken Ashi in a long time. That all depends on your risk tolerance, Marshall. You look at any. Here's the thing. You're asking me about numbers, right? That's what you want. Better, you tell me. Go look at a chart. Go look at a trending chart. I don't care what kind. and tell me the probability that whether that that price is going to keep going and move only in one direction, or that it's going to push and pull back and push and pull back and push and pull back. Well, here's the thing, Al, and that's a good question. A pullback is the beginning of, or could be the beginning of, a reversal. We don't know. I have no idea. All I'm doing is picking up that certain conditions exist that is likely to cause price to take a little break here and back up a little bit. Now, I have no idea because the same conditions also exist before a reversal. I don't know how to read and tell the difference between a pullback and a reversal with the information that's being put into the markets right now. I don't know how to tell the difference because it looks exactly the same to me. Larry, that's entirely possible. I don't, and I'll get to your other questions. I see the other question. I don't. I would say it's entirely possible. Here's my mission in trading was to develop a level of consistency to the point at which I could generate a regular income. When I finally achieved that, that was something that I had never been able to do, and most people can't. When I finally achieved that and I saw steady growth in my trading account, I stopped looking for more and more and more. And I decided instead to try to just get better and better and better at what I was doing. So the better I got, the more trades I got, the more contracts I could trade, the more efficient I was at managing the trades. So, we talked about, thinking about this whole thing in a different perspective. I do the same thing over and over and over again, and I finally reached a level of success I had never reached before, and I am not likely to mess with that. My challenge to you guys, find that same consistent level of success and stick to that. Get good at that. Become the best in the world at that. Do that one thing and get better and better and better at it. All right, let me back up. I have used it's not consistent on firing color, works best on time and tick charts. Same, Pam. You're gonna see the Obos working better for those. Will you tell us again what is in the Rockstar? Obos, the overbought, oversold indicator, the speed tick, which has 3 different threshold levels of the rate of speed going through the orders being processed through the market, and the Super D, which has 7 different levels of divergence that we're measuring, and you can choose any combination of all of those things that you want inside the indicator to generate a Rockstar. 5 ticks, grow the account. As the account grows, increase the contacts 5 ticks at a time. Exactly. I just add, Ray, what I did and what I teach people in our mentoring program is continue to grow the account until you've hit a certain amount in your trading account. So say you're trading with a single contract, you get really, really, really good at 5 ticks, 5 tick, 5 tick, 5 tick, and you do it. See how many days in a row you can do that, and then I teach people don't even look at your trading account, but maybe once a month, and then go and when you've increased your account by a couple $1,000s, now start trading 2 contracts and keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. We'll grow the account, go for 3 contracts. See, this is how we do things in our regular life. You know, in our regular life, we learn that you have to start small, get good at something, and then, you know, grow from there. We don't think that way in trading. In trading, we go, well, I have to make $100,000 a year. How am I going to do that? Al, to simplify my question, are your trades mostly counter trend trades or pullback trades in the direction of the trend with a higher probability trade? I can take trades in either direction, Al. I don't really care. If I get a signal, okay, so here's the trend, right? But if I get a signal here, I'll short it. If I get another signal here, I'll buy it. Correct, Milby. You can use those on your own charts. I still use them, but they're not inside the Rockstar. That's correct. That all depends on the instrument, Larry. And how you enter the trades. I've been doing this a long time, and I can trade very fast and very efficiently with a trading dome. And I scale into trades, and I don't teach anybody how to do that unless they've been through our mentoring program first. Because if I taught you guys how to do it, you'd all get just beat to death and hammered, and then you'd blame me for making you lose all your money. Because it's not an easy thing to do, but with practice, you can get quite a lot of contracts filled. More than you'll probably need to anytime soon. Not until you master the trade. You know, you got to get really good at the trade first. Quit thinking about the money. Do 1 contract. Get good at 1 5-tick trade. See how many days in a row you end the day as a winning trader. And then add to that. The mentoring program is we have a couple of different things. We have a group mentoring, which is our VIP, and we kind of do that weekly. But we have an intensive group mentoring program, and I don't know if we have any positions available in that program. Praveen is one of our mentors. I think it's $2,500 up front and then $495 a month or something like that. Correct. The tick value is different, but I trade them all the same, anywhere from $5 to $10. Actually, we trade the ES. Some members in the room trade the ES also. I don't. We trade gold, oil, the 6E, the euro, the Dow, and the Nasdaq, or the NQ and the YM. We do have the ES in the room, but it's so slow. It's such a big fat cow. It's there, but we don't really trade it much. We do it because the people that say, oh, well, I'm an ES trader, and I only trade the ES, so we do it for them. And then they come in and they go, hey, these guys aren't even trading the ES. They're trading all these other instruments, and they're doing great. Why am I looking at the ES? So it's really kind of just a leader to get people to come and see what we're doing in the room. You can trade it on the ES, but you won't get a lot of trades because the ES does so much sideways channeling. Now, Larry, we also have another program. It's not mentoring, but it's a program that teaches you how to maximize your study and practice time. It doesn't just teach you how to practice. We provide tools to help you practice. Now, if you think that you're practicing your trading by trading sim during the live trading session, you're wrong. That's not practicing. That's game time. You should be applying what you've practiced during live trading sessions. You know, whatever, I trade from 9 a.m. till noon. That's my trading session. That's when I don't practice anything. I don't work at anything. The only thing I'm doing during those hours is applying my trade plan. That's it. So we could teach you how to do, expedite your learning. Playing around with the indicators, looking at static charts, scrolling around to see where the indicator's fired, that's not practicing. That's not productive. It might be interesting, but we'll teach you how to be productive and practice your trading. That's our Fast Forward program. That's absolutely correct, Milby. And that's the way I suggest most people start. Over time, as you master the trade. Now, you say you get very few trades. How many trades do you get in your practice? I mean, when you're practicing every night, if you practice 2 or 3 hours every night, you should get 20 or 30 trade setups that you can practice. You're doing that, right? You're in you have the Fast Forward program? I thought you did. So that's my point. You could sit in the trade room for a week and get 5, 6, 7, 8 trade setups, or you could practice your trading in the evening and every night get 20 or 30 trade setups. In a week, you've done 100, 150 trades, so that ultimately you get so good at it you can relax some of your risk criteria and ultimately get more trades throughout the day. But you can't do that until you master it at the more conservative. So think about driving a car, right? When you're driving a car, they teach you the most conservative way to drive. Just because you're driving the most conservative way doesn't make you a more careful or a better driver. Fact of the matter is, over time, you gain experience with driving, you probably develop your own style, you drop some of the restrictions of being a conservative driver, yet because you gained experience driving, you're probably a much safer driver, even though you've dropped some of those, the rules that you were taught when you were in driver's education. This is the same thing. The real world experience applies to trading where most people don't believe that it does. Practice, get good at it. Don't do anything dangerous. Don't have unrealistic expectations. Safer, not here. Oh, where you live, you mean? Driving. Yeah, unfortunately I don't know exactly what it is that you're practicing, Milby. and how you're practicing, you might want to consider the mentoring program, and so we can kind of look over your shoulder and help you. And that's the thing about our mentoring program, is that we will help you analyze every single trade you take or don't take, and we will give you suggestions. And if you start, yes, Larry, it is. If you start heading down the wrong path or doing the wrong things, we're there to set you straight right away. So unfortunately, we don't know exactly what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it, so I can't really make any suggestions on what to fix. Of course. Of course. I encourage during the VIP sessions we have every Wednesday, I go over a particular topic, and then I ask if there's any questions, and absolutely you can ask questions. Our VIPs also have priority support when you send in a support request to our desk. You're not just answered by a IT tech guy. Praveen is an awesome trader and a mentor. So he's the first line in our, it's at 12:15 Eastern time. He's our first line of support, and he spends his entire day helping people and answering questions. That is correct, Ray. That's exactly what I do. I set up a 5-tick target, 7-tick stop on my trading dome. So every time I enter a trade, I have a target and a stop. And then I will only manage the stop by shortening it. Never make a bigger stop. Any other questions? This is great. Loving having these questions. Don't forget, we have, I don't know, I haven't checked the mail, but we've got our 20% discount until either Wednesday or until the next 7 bundles get sold. And that includes bundle upgrades. If you already have a bundle, like if you bought a pullback bundle and you want to upgrade to the VIP, that includes that also. Upgrades are included. Any other questions? It's been a great session today. Oh. Me personally? Why would you ask me? I've been trading this for 10 years. Wouldn't you expect it to be really good if I'm trading the same thing over and over? I would ask other people. Ask other people. Ask other VIPs. Ask other pullback traders. Ask people that have the same experience as you. I've been doing this a long time. It's really good. Then you better work as hard as I have, as many hours as I have, and put in the blood, sweat, and tears. This is not an easy line of work. I got out of the construction business because I thought trading was easy. Oh man, this is going to be easy. Truth of the matter is, I approach this now as I would if I were a professional athlete. I spend 90% of my time working at my trading and 10% trading. Frank, there's no average, but for me, I'm going to probably say 3 trades a session. Sometimes those 3 trades come in the first 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes all day. Sometimes I don't get 3. Sometimes I get 6, 7. But that's me because I have a relatively low risk tolerance. I'm pretty conservative. And there are traders in the room that are less conservative than me that'll take a lot more trades than I do. There you go, Dwayne. Exactly. Wouldn't it be nice to be Tom Brady? I want to be Tom Brady. But, exactly. Um, Cindy, go to Praveen. Can you put the link into the specials page? We have different options for you, Cindy. Click on that link there, and that'll answer it. Go, Philly. You know the season's over, right? The Falcons are out, so the season's over. I don't even care. Stupid Falcons. Always letting me down. Oh, indeed, Peter. You've got to learn to embrace the boredom. Now, that being said, if I didn't have a trade room to sit in so that at least I knew I was there with other people doing the same thing, somebody to talk to, I probably wouldn't trade anymore. It can be mind numbing, and your mind can definitely drift. And I try to help people with that in the trade room by calling out when I see something setting up, because I know people are drifting off to Facebook and whatever. Um, so yes, it can be mind numbing, and practice also helps with that. Yeah, well, no, we have a chat room or a trade room for members to exchange experiences with bunt trading and ideas as it relates to bunt trading. But I'm very quick to stop people from discussing other things, other types of trading, not because I care that people do other types of trading, but a lot of times we have members in the room that are struggling to stay focused, and they're easy to distract, going from one thing to another to another to another, just kind of jumping around. And we want them to stay focused on what we're doing so they don't get distracted. Okay? So if you start talking about some other trading that you're doing, some other trade that you want to have nothing to do with bunt trading, we're going to congratulate you on whatever you've done, but please let's only exchange bunt trading ideas. You got that right, Frank. Yep. Any other questions? I hope we got this has been compelling. And here's the thing. So let's say you all have this trading system that you like to use that's not bunt trading. Um, but you're just looking for a little bit more, or you're looking for a little bit more consistency, or you just want to add some trades. Do that. Don't stop doing what you're doing. I'm not saying that you have to stop doing what you're doing. I'm giving you a sweet little trade setup that has a high probability of winning, but you still have to work at it. Okay? Nothing is, nothing is easy, but it's simple. Okay? There's a difference. It's simple, but you have to work at it. Exactly. If you're looking for that second edge, if you already have one, but you're looking to maybe fill in the gaps, with some smaller trades, some easier trades to take, let us know. I mean, jump in here with us. Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. All right. Let's take some time off and go enjoy the weekend. Any emails you got, send them to bunt@theintentionaltrader.com. And anything, whether it's technical nature or pricing. If you already own some of the indicators that are in the Rockstar, but you want the Rockstar, we'll certainly give you a better deal on the Rockstar. But we just need to know which indicators you already have. So send us an email on that. Did you look at that web page that we sent you, Cindy? Connor put in, Praveen put in a web page, 20% off of, there it is. Click on that, you'll see the prices. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll see it. My door's always open too, Larry and everybody else. If you ever need us, just send us an email, and we're here to help. I don't remember, Marshall, to be honest. Send an email and Connor will get back with you. Best thing to do is just upgrade to VIP. That's where all the good stuff is. I think that's the pullback bundle. He was saying to get the Rockstar. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. I hope we see you all next week. Bye now. Wayne, that's very likely.